Well, here again is our friend that we did in the replace color tutorial, where we took her lips from red, like that, to make them kind of pink. Now, when you do things like that, see when she's red like that, her teeth don't look bad. You know, it's just kind of a picture. But when you see them kind of blue, that makes her teeth look much more yellow, actually. And so now what can we do to make those teeth not look quite so yellow? This is where it's good to know how to work with color in Photoshop. The opposite of blue in Photoshop is yellow. So what we need to do is we need to select these teeth and blue them up a little bit. And I know that seems kind of odd, but bear with me. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do the select, and I'm going to select a color range. And I'm actually going to click on her teeth. And here is that dialog box. And we have our fuzziness slider. We ought to be familiar with our fuzziness slider. And there you can see how I'm picking up the teeth. But I'm also picking up quite a bit of other stuff. But this is okay. You say okay, and it's just a selection method. And now I could come over here and I could pop into quick mask mode if I want. Or I could just come over here and I could start playing with my different selection tools. And I'm going to do this with a 0 pixel feather on the lasso tool. And I'm going to come over here, and I just screwed up. Command Z, Control Z, undoes it. Duh! I want to do Alt, because I want to notice how when I hold down the Alt key or the Option key on a Mac, you'll see that that picture of the lasso tool turns into a picture of a lasso tool with a minus, and that means I want to subtract from my selection. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to circle the areas that I do not want to deal with. Okay, bada bing, bada boom, life is good. And I'm using a variety of selection tools here. I'm not saying that this is the best way to do it. I just want to expose you to a bunch of different ways to build up selections. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to use the quick selection tool, which is another piece of magic in the newest version of Photoshop. That's only available in Photoshop CS3. And I'm going to hold down the Alt key, which is, or I'm sorry, the Shift key, which in this case is going to add to my selection. And I'm just going to come down in here and I'm just going to start selecting just the teeth. And now I'm going to hold down the Alt key because I picked up some of her lip. Didn't mean to pick up her lip. And that's looking pretty good. And now I could use the Refine Edge option if I want. And I can see when I do that, see how it's picking up other stuff that I don't necessarily want. So now I'm going to start playing with these sliders. And you need to remember when you start doing this kind of stuff that you want this to feather in nicely, because you really don't want to see a big, huge, screaming white line on this selection. Okay, and now I'm going to say okay. And because I had done the color range, I don't know if you noticed in there, let me go back into the Refine Edge for a sec. See how we have these little blotches? Okay, because it has semi-selected those areas because of the color range option that I had chosen. Say okay. And in this particular situation, that's not a good thing. So I'm going to go back over here and use my lasso tool, hold down the Alt key, and I'm going to select those areas so I'm sure that I don't have them selected. I'm going to, just to check myself, I'm going to go back up here, whoops, to the Refine Edge, and I can see I need to come over here and deselect this area just a little bit more. And that's just the Alt key, and now I'm just going to make a big old selection. Alright, and now I think I'm good to go. Yeah, I'm golden. I'll feather that selection out just a hair more. going to contract that selection in just a little bit. I'm going to say OK. And now I've got a fair to middling selection of her teeth. Now I'm going to do Control H or Command H, which is going to take those crawling ants that you were seeing, and it's a toggle, so Control H brings them back. They are still there. It's an active selection, but you cannot see them because I want to see how well what I'm going to do is going to blend into the background. So Control H to hide it. And now I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do Image, Adjustments, and I'm going to start playing with the color balance. And here, remember I was talking about you have to understand how Photoshop sees color? Well, this is the granddaddy of the color engine, really, when you're trying to do image correction like this. I've worked with this so often now that I know that blue counteracts yellow and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to start adding in a little bit of blue. And now watch her teeth down at the bottom. If I take it all the way to the yellow, see how her teeth get really yellow, and that's really disgusting. If I take it too far, they start turning blue, and that looks kind of weird too. So it's not just adding one, it's actually counteracting a whole bunch of other colors as well. Now we don't want to give her green teeth, and we don't want to give her magenta teeth. We just want to try and get rid of some color shift. And I was working with the midtones. I want to work with the shadows now. Sometimes it's counterintuitive as to what you do. I'm really not paying attention to where the sliders are up here. I'm watching her teeth. See how that's whitening that up pretty nicely there. And this is the kind of thing that takes a bit of a subtle touch and some practice to figure out how to do. Ooh, that's gross. Okay, that's looking pretty good to me. Now, Control Z. There it was originally. There it is now. Much better. And I could come in here at this point and I could do Image, Adjustments, and I could tell it to do Auto Levels. And I could tell it to do Auto Color. And Control Z, Command Z, Control Shift, or Control Alt Z. That takes us back to before I did anything. So Control Shift Z takes me back forward. And that's after Auto. Okay, there's the original. Control Shift Z takes me back forward. This is with my adjustment, my color adjustment. This is with Auto Levels added. And that's with Auto Color added. And notice how Auto Color darkened it down. Again, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to take it back to the original and then take it back one step forward because I think I did a better job actually than Photoshop did. And then if I were to save that, I would be able to see side by side the difference in those. And if I want, I could come up here and do like a little levels adjustment on my own. And I could pull this levels over here and I could bring out some more detail in those teeth if I want to. Could brighten them up a little bit further. Now be careful because obviously that's a little insane. It's all about subtlety. And I'm thinking those are looking pretty good.